And we are live back for another exciting episode of Agatha All Along. This time, episode 5. Still tons of questions involving this series. Will we finally get some answers on this episode? Let's talk about it. All right, guys, Brent here back with Geek Variants. Cover all things Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, anime, gaming, Star Wars, and more. This time, Agatha All Along. And I gotta say, it has been an interesting ride thus far. I wouldn't say it's necessarily what you would consider a bad series or necessarily a good series. At this point in time, we are shooting about as middle ground as we possibly can. And with Marvel needing a big win, it's kind of put itself in a precarious position. And sure, there's going to be people out there review bombing, but at this moment in time, I'd say it's mostly just people just down and out on the fact that, musicals have seemed to kind of taken over what's happening a lot with superheroes because we just had Joker just drop Folia Do and apparently drop Folia Deuce because that was an absolutely horrific film, start to bottom. Well, start to finish on that one. That was just one of the worst films I think I've seen in a long, long time. Sup, Antonio? Welcome back. Welcome back. Always good to have you in. But Agatha now is kind of trending towards more and more musical. As we saw, there was the song to get to the Witch's Road on episode 2. And then we followed that up with episode 4, where we basically have to sing the Witch's song once more again, just kind of going off in that same kind of vein, that same kind of direction. So I'm very, very morbidly curious to see ultimately how they're going to handle this. We are more than halfway done with this series as soon as this episode finishes. And currently, we still have no answers to any of the questions that we had going out throughout the early episodes, involving this series here. I'm trying to pull off that. There we go. Got it. But with all things considered, we were trying to basically get some answers as far as who this teen is, which, unless Funko Pop absolutely dropped the ball there, then it's going to be Wiccan. I think there's only one way we can kind of rule this out. And Funko, for potentially having that accidental spoiler, would be considered very, very embarrassing on their part. I understand marketing. I understand you got to get that product out there because the consumer is demanding things at a rapid pace. You got to be, quick on the upkeep, quick on the draw for things of that nature. But again, is it necessarily going to be something that could not have waited until like the episode finally happened, where we're able to at least get some kind of concrete information about who this teen is? Who knows? I'm still speculating on that, and we're still speculating as well as far as Aubrey Plaza's character is concerned. Right now, it seems like the running character for her is going to be Death, which was also that Funko Pop exclusive that they dropped that ultimately looked like she was being outed as Death, as well as, Wiccan was being outed as the teen. And Aubrey Plaza's character, that kind of checks out, truth be told. Because look, the last episode, everyone was in mortal danger. They had a literal demon, not like metaphorical, not metaphysical, not anything of that nature. It was a literal physical demon hanging out in this plane that was just going absolutely berserk on everybody and everything that we could possibly see going on. Ultimately, even grabbing teen Wiccan and leading him directly through a window, causing him to get stabbed by glass, which he played off like nothing even happened. But ultimately, by the end of the episode, we saw he was very, very seriously injured, and it took our Green Witch the ability to go ahead and save him, keep him up on his feet. So that was kind of something that was super interesting because she was completely non-concerned about this demon whatsoever. Not even blinking, not even sweating it, just kind of giving it the most boring stare ever. It was like when that teacher tries yelling at you that you know that you're good with and you're not really going to get in any serious trouble for. Aubrey Plaza's character is playing off that exact same way with any of the stakes that are going on here. We also learned that her and Agatha have had a very interesting relationship at times, and that Aubrey Plaza's character dealt a very serious injury to Agatha, making a tough decision because her job forced her to, causing some very, very serious rifts between them. There's still a lot of physical chemistry or leftover chemistry from what they had, but you can clearly tell that things aren't necessarily in an ideal manner. And Agatha kind of ruined a very tender moment between herself and the teen because the teen was like, "Hey, what happened to your son?" And then she stormed off, only to be pursued again by Aubrey Plaza, who then, like, they were about to have a tender moment. And then she decides, to be like, "Hey, that's not him. That's not your son. I don't know why you're trying to make this effort for this kid." So everyone was just kind of in this tough situation to kind of go out and play things by ear, and ultimately, no one seems to understand how to read the room or understand overall like what's going on with this series. So it seems to be very, very interesting to see how things are going to be. And the seven is definitely something that is been related as far as comics concerned. But again, if you haven't read the comics, which I have not, our resident Marvel expert will be out for the night. Um, he has some information on that when he's back. We'll discuss that in depth. He doesn't really necessarily want to have too many spoilers on it because sometimes the comics do stray into things and cause a big issue. Episode 5 did just drop on the good old Disney Plus platform. Go ahead and pull that up on your own, as well as keep us on a separate screen. We'll sync times and we will play the episode along together called Darkest Hour, Wake Thy Power. And it looks like we're going with yet another theme throwback. Wait and see till we get potatoes of today's Marvel meal. Will we have a delicious meal on our plate, or we're going to go ahead and try and throw this stuff out? 'Cause it looks like we're going to pick up right where we left off. Looks like at the 110 mark. So if everyone wants to sync up at that moment in time, we can continue our coverage of Agatha all along. Again, pull up Disney Plus on your own platforms, pull it up in a separate tab, and then have us in the other one. We'll just kind of talk as the episode goes on. 110 mark. The 1 minute, 10-second mark will be where we are starting our watch. Let me throw it on screen to make it a little easier for everybody so they don't have to check up on chat so we can have this episode covered together. I'm really excited to see overall what we're going to have happen here because last week was, I'm not going to lie, it was pretty mid for me. I'm hoping we have a strong rebound. I want all content to be good, and it's not fun sitting up here and be like, "Oh yeah, this is bad, this is terrible." But again, sometimes you get easy slam dunks like the Joker or Morbius or Scarlet Web, where you're just like, "My goodness, were those just terrible productions?" I don't know why anyone would spend any modicum of millions of dollars on anything and then end up having just no one watching the product and letting these directors free reign it, and then these things happen. Acolyte did the same thing. Disney didn't review it all that tightly. They gave her free reign, and we want our directors to have some free reign, but sometimes you got to be like, just just a good set of eyes about quarter way through the product. See if we got to call any audibles, have any tweaks, any fixes here, because I know people are going to say this doesn't go on Gunn's record, but for me, it does. You're in charge of the entire head. You and Saffron need to make it work. Antonio says he's ready. Is everyone else ready to get this episode started? In three, two, one, let's play Darkest Hour, Wake Thy Power. See how we're overall going to play this, Disney. Are we going to continue our mystery and try and drag it out? Because right now we should be starting to close a couple of these questions that have been looming over everybody in this time frame, because we can't just keep extending ourselves out waiting till the finale or like the seventh episode. Okay, there's a fox. That's probably supposed to be symbolic of something. There's a fox. There's the raven. I hate snakes with a passion. I understand their purpose in society, but boy, do I hate them. Ah, the Salem Seven take the shape of animals. That is terrifying in so many respects. But they're doing a great job of building up the horror that's been going on with the series, and they're kind of encapsulate like the spirit of the animals and move exactly like them as they go forward here. Having them crawl on all fours is definitely an interesting vibe to kind of have happen here. There's a what appears to be looks like a black diamond of some sort. And Lilia caught up that the seven are hot on their trail. So Antonio may have called it early that the seven are going to be pivotal in this episode. They left the door open. It's not like you really had much time to close it. And Aubrey Plaza is very certain of what's going on. So that's concerning that we have the seven right now. There's a lot of drama going on. Apparently, I didn't know Agatha got rid of her own mother. Ah, always finish what you started. Yeah, I mean, you accidentally created a coven hell bent on taking you out for everything you've done, and for whatever reason, they seem to use some kind of magic to go ahead and extend themselves at the right time. And the witches, the coven are in front and behind, so the people are just going in for the worst thing overall because you're just kind of on a ticking time clock here, and we're not in an ideal situation. Mm. They're going to use a hexenbexen, aka they're going to use brooms to try and make an escape here because, well, witches. If it didn't happen at some point, I think even the most basic fan would be like, it seems like a wasted opportunity there. And now they just have to chant in Latin, and then good to go. And look at them go. They're all accessorizing their brooms in a weird way. It's a lot of interesting dramatics here. There's a weird team player mentality going on with Agatha now, so I love how he was the one that suggested that we should have, this moment in time. Oh, there's an owl, which means you need to move because that's going to be a person here in a second. Crowd. Oh, cool. Oh, nice. Yeah, if you're holding a giant stick, use the giant stick to hit somebody. I don't understand why people are like, "Oh my gosh, let me freeze here." Sharon could have sold the 7. Amen to that. She was too strong, she had to be removed from this universe. She would have taken out Wanda in her prime, and she would have beaten Thanos' snap with a smile on her face. RIP Team Sharon, but, I understand they needed to make the series more believable, so ultimately they had to, like, end a character, and unfortunately, they picked my, favorite character. Go ahead and like, really? We're gonna all of a sudden pull off the road even though we just had this whole long diatribe, like, 3 episodes ago that we need to stay on the road? Okay, they're doing the typical witch moonshot because, typical stuff right there. Yeah, Agatha seems very, very concerned about what's going on, though. Not really comfortable with everything that's going on here. It is definitely interesting to see people who are centuries old, though, like, lose their mind over something that's super basic and, oh, oh boy. Agatha is still staring down Aubrey, so going on there. So, that's kind of interesting, huh? Oh, there we go. Mm. The Witch's Road is now basically inverting things and bring them down, but again, you still use it for the necessary hop over for the 7, and of course, Aubrey Plaza is cackling like a maniac. Mm. 'Cause they're gonna end up going, "Oh, cool, there's someone just standing directly in their way. Who is that one?" "Oh, she's screaming maggot." Oh, that's lovely. I mean, the shot of the moon could have been the shot for the Disney Plus. I mean, it would definitely embrace their style of material that they have going on here. Now it looks like most of them time period piece again. What is with WandaVision and Agatha All Along doing the time period stuff? It's like it's definitely it's an interesting look. Not entirely certain it's unnecessary, but what is it pushing forward? I mean, you hope they can't get in. Let's not jinx the trial here, because the last trial involved a demon. The one before that, we had evil spellcast. Oh no, that was the same trial where there's that evil spellcaster in a room waiting for everybody, and they're having nightmares. Like, so things are in a very precarious position. Hmm. Yep, new hairstyles, new looks. Everyone's investigating for our new piece of paper to kind of like push us forward to see how this trial goes overall. It's an interesting start to the episode. So far, enjoying it. I hope you guys feel much the same. Hmm. Oh. Hmm. Honor the broomsticks are only for witches with no little power since Agatha could fly easily in one division. I mean, at that time, she was also amped up by the Darkhold. So, I mean, it's kind of this weird in between where we're not sure how much of Agatha's power was her own versus how much she was seething off the Darkhold to ensure she had that extra juice. We saw what it did to Wanda when she started like tapping in. Things got a little interesting, and ultimately she had to, end herself with a mountain. So, will she be gone forever? I highly doubt it because witches, magic, Disney. If you don't see a body in a casket, the character can come back. They'll either recast, they'll make it work. And we all know that the actress whose name is escaping me right now, something Olsen, I think it's Elizabeth Olsen, is likely coming back. She said she's open and amicable to it, and of course, the interview happened just as this show was picking up. So timing's a little peculiar on that. I feel like three should have been number two. Do not taunt the spirits. I have to say it twice to Agatha because they're going to be playing with Ouija boards, which, if anyone has ever experimented with those in their life, no, always close the door when you're done. Just saying. Some of those horror movie stuff are based off real things, so just don't play with it. It's the worst game ever made. I don't know how real it is, but I never want to find out. My sleep to me is way more important than playing with spooky board. If I want to play like a board that makes me want to hate my life, I'll go play Monopoly again, okay? I don't want to play another 4 hours, Grandpa. No, thank you. I did love the game and hanging out with him, but 4 hours Monopoly? It makes you want to hate your own family. So let's see how they adjust to this trial here. Who's going to be the first to ask a question? Because this one should be for our divination witch, if I'm not mistaken. You basically have to go through. But she's going to have the first reaction of everybody, I'm assuming. Yeah. It's like, hey, just let the board talk. Don't talk back to it. Like the veil is thin, so things are going to be a problem. I feel like what they need to do is have a shot where you see through the little ball in the Ouija board and something pops through it. That would jump scare everybody. I jump scare easily, so if you get me to jump, it's not difficult. I think I jumped during Finding Nemo when I was little, so I mean, come on, there's no jump scares there. I have one on my power when I'm the only room was played in. Yeah, that'll do it. Hopefully he said goodbye and then never had a conversation again, you know what I'm saying? But again, I'm not gonna be preachy. Everyone lives their life their own way. I just anytime people are like, hey, come over and let's play this. No, no good. Mm, this is a little campy, but let's see overall what they're gonna do with it. Sharon? Oh my gosh, they brought Sharon Hart's voice back. Casseroles are delicious. Sharon was drinking before noon, girl. Powering through. Powering through. Yeah, I mean, Sharon Davis. Yeah. Oh, and of course, Aubrey Plaza sees directly through everything. Like, you need to play nicely with the spirits. Things aren't going good. Mm-mm. Everybody figure it out. Because our divination witch needs to make this work. Everybody, let's try again and have fun. Next question. What do we got? Ah, they're following you, Antonio. Power outage coming next. There's only flickered, but it's got that TV static in the back. That's very interesting. It's gonna MON. Hey, Ah, great. Death is with them, and of course Aubrey's laughing. Sharon's coming back like Avengers. God, that was a great shot though. Back when Marvel was fantastic. So Death is here to punish them. That's fun. Let's invite them over for tea while we're at it. Crying out loud. So Agatha should know that means her. Yep, Agatha. And then it's just like, I'm gonna keep talking even if you try and interrupt me. I'm the one in charge of this. Like you can't just take charge and you're not supposed to interrupt. Oh, and now we have a rogue board. We have a rogue board, and Aubrey Plaza's character is again smiling. Yeah, Lily's having a moment. Oh, wow. Good for her. She just shouted it, and then all of a sudden everything stops. Oh, are they really all gonna jump Agatha? I mean, she kind of has a lot of this coming, but again, is this a trick from the trial, or is this gonna be what it is? Humiliation? Of course. She's the first person to do that. Familiars don't get a vote. Ah, and Agatha disappeared and left a note. Great. And the power's out. Things are going ever crazy. She's saying way too close to the darkness right now. Like, don't back away into the light. Because that's how you mysteriously go missing. Because we're still. Yeah, there's that empty back room. That's a whole note for me. Ah, yep, there is a voice being raspy and creepy. It's gonna go after the teen first. Oh, it's above them. Yep, the jump scare shot. Yep, she turned into a demon and she's on the ceiling. That's not good. I consider that getting looked at. Sweetheart, are you okay? Yeah, that's a note for me. Yeah. Just yeah, fair reaction. Agatha's possession. Very interesting. See what she's gonna do with this. I mean, she took her hands twice off the board, so I'm assuming that's where the punishment overall was coming from. And then she just disappears again. And now out this is the only time we've seen Aubrey Plaza's character show any kind of emotion of any kind. That's a wisp of smoke. What? That's gonna be a something. That's a problem. Evanora Harkness. Interesting. Yep. Things are in a complicated position. Oh, how'd you get up in the rafters? That's kind of weird. I mean, technically, you were inside of her at one point, so I mean, it's like a full circle thing. Evanora Harkness is not allowed to shoot. Friends is also a strong word, Agatha. They were definitely going to stab you. Hmm. Finish the road without Agatha? Interesting. Yeah, because Death would definitely have a rivalry with Ghosts because ghosts are the dead that don't go to death because they still become, on this plane. They're stuck in that weird limbo in between. So yeah, the rivalry is going to definitely be there. It is crazy how much terrible things we're finding out about Agatha, and she's supposed to be our soft, femme fatale main character. But instead, she has sold her son for a book that we know of, betrayed her own mother, destroyed her own coven, and then betrayed everybody on the Witch's Road. And that was just before WandaVision. So you add that on top of it, we're not really sitting pretty good, even not counting her betrayals of this group right here. So how they're going to go through everything, I'm very, very concerned. And then she's possessed by her mom again. Oh, look at that. The protection witch now using magic to push out her mom. So that's good. And then Agatha is deciding to drain the power from one of our other witches, including her youth. And the board is now freaking out, said how only way to stop her. And Nicholas Scratch. Wow. That's her son's name. It's about time they finally got to that. Oh, there it goes. Oh boy. Now things are Whew. Wow. I think our relationship's a little complicated because you just ended one of our witches, likely, because she looks pretty gone. Because Agatha would have to return all that. Hmm. And now everyone's gonna have a really emotional next episode because we're still holding on the drama of everything. But we finally got the big old Nicholas Scratch we've been waiting to see. Nicholas Scratch is also rumored to be that rabbit that was in episode 1. Because yeah, Nicholas Scratch was her son. She eventually got back, turned it into a familiar. It was a rabbit. It's a whole deal. Her backstory is very confusing. So now we're down 2 witches. Isn't that magical? And that was one of the nicer ones we had along the road. We did get to hear from Sharon for a little bit, so that's a semi silver lining. But now all of a sudden she can manifest protection magic, and she seems rather pleased that she has some magic back. So we'll see how that comes into play moving forward. Now that she might be more and more power hungry. Hmm. Yep, and she's finally being called out for her issue of power. But everyone agreed to go along with her. So I mean, at a certain point, you bought the car salesman deal, so there's nothing you can really do about this. And he wants to do magic the right way, which is definitely peculiar. But Wanda doesn't. I mean, not Wanda. Agatha. My goodness, doesn't really seem to be minding everything going on it with it. Because she seems to be putting things together that others just aren't. It's a weird, weird moment. There we go. The Wiccan line. I was waiting for that. There, I was waiting for that one for so long to finally drop. Agatha does seem to have rounded the wrong corner, made some interesting decisions along the way. Huh. The teen has now gone bad, but he literally just possessed the other two witches like it was nothing, all because he got really focused on what's going on. Huh. That's a turn there. And now he's sacrificing the other two witches he was just using as a shield. So the teen has been holding back for a long, long time. And he's wearing Wanda's crown. I was waiting for that for a while. But again, the fact that they're ending this episode, like, it's like 6 minutes of credits. Do we really need that many credits for this series overall? But we have just finished this episode of Agatha All Along. And I gotta say, this was the episode I've been waiting for. This was good, action packed, well paced. We finally got some huge answers of everything going on. Huge shout out to Billie Eilish for, getting her song once more in yet another Marvel product show. But again, it was just very well paced, very well done. We're now down our protection witch, Agatha, our divination witch, and our green witch. So the only person left standing by default is the teen and Death. So we're definitely in a weird spot because he's wearing his mom's crown of dark magic, which was our good old Wanda Maximoff. So that whole Funko Pop turned out to be 100% legitimate. So we called it at episode 3. That part is very fascinating to me, very interesting overall. That episode 3 was where we had our big giveaway on who all of our characters are. We know who the teen is. We know who Aubrey Plaza's character is. Everything has been defined for us. And Nicholas Scratch was the name that broke through all of this. And if Agatha hadn't been so nasty to the teen, maybe things would have gone entirely differently. Maybe things would have gone in a more business friendly manner. But she decides to rub salt in the wound of a grieving teenager who was likely going down this road to save his mother and get her back in some regard. But we saw that the teen still struggles with some of the same issues that Wanda did, where once you get a little emotional, things get a little bad. And here we are. The Witch's Road, witchless, with only a wizard left standing. Super fascinating. Very interested to see what your guys' thoughts are on the episode. How do you guys feel the series has gone? I'm so far very, very tickled to just enjoy a good episode like that. Haven't had one that's been, this fantastic in a long time from them. So huge props. They're doing good things. Lot of great, great action for us. Just excited to see how things are going to continue to move forward with this series because we still have quite a bit of time left. We have episode 6, 7, and 8 before we're at the finale, which will be very, very close to Halloween. I'm sure all resident Marvel fans are absolutely just feeling really good, really good right now. So everyone who's been review bombing, I don't really understand it, but hey, You guys do what you do. It is what it is. Everyone's entitled to their opinions on whether you love the show, whether you hate the show. We just ask you talk about it civilly in the chat and have a good old time with it. Overall, everyone seems to be pretty silent as far as chat is concerned on this one. Agatha delivered in only so many terms. Very, very happy overall with the product. Good episode. I'm excited to get into the episode breakdown, kind of break down some more of the fan theories and some of the other pieces of information that have been kind of slowly being disseminated out. We still have to deal with the 7 slowly making their way through things. I doubt they're going to let things stand where they are, where the road ultimately claims Agatha through a puddle. It doesn't really seem like revenge served the right way to them. So I'm sure they will go ahead and pull them out and just kind of make their move at that moment in time. And how much Aubrey Plaza's character death will have something to do with any and all of this is going to be really interesting to see overall. Having the team being fully revealed who they are is a huge step forward for us as fans, because they're not going to try and, bait us, for everything else so far. Questions are answered about Teen and Aubrey, who the 7 are. There's obviously more questions, but yeah, Nicholas Scratch will be our biggest piece of material going forward to see how we address that overall. I really am just curious to see what they do with that at this time. But again, it's been a fantastic time chatting with you, Antonio. The rest of the chat's been pretty quiet for most of the night. So appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in and hanging out with Geek Variants. I don't remember if Wiccan ever wore the crown in the comics. That could have been one of the changes that Marvel has ultimately made for the MCU, but I'm fascinated to see how it will play out overall, because I believe that crown has some kind of powers that I either be imbued by emotions or they can imbued by negativity, because we saw that every time Wanda was wearing it, she was usually in a negative mindset or overall just trying to enact her own ambitions or goals or whatever the case may be. So we'll see how that is addressed and handled moving forward. A lot of big questions left, but overall, very, very happy with this episode. If you're going to be a Marvel fan, say, hey, watch an episode of WandaVision. WandaVision. I've done that 3 times now. For Agatha All Along, this is the one you want to go ahead and do that. I mean, he could have been released. We opened up that can of worms with the timeline, and everyone knows how once you go to multiverse or multiple timelines, things get a little mangled, so they'll need to address things and smooth out as quickly as possible. I've been Brent for Geek Variants. Thank you guys so much for checking out everything involving the chat. Be sure to leave like, dislike, comments, subscribe to whichever one of your favorite platforms you are on, whether it be YouTube or Twitch. Both are entirely free. It helps us out a ton and keeps you lined up for all the other great content we have coming up. I've been Brent for Geek Variants. I'll see you in the episode breakdown.